I was in that job where I was answering to everybody and have no one answering to me. Hello, lovely people, and welcome back to another conversation in Mama's Room. I am your host, Anita, a life coach, working mom, and a woman who understands what it feels like to love your children and still want to feel like you again. On today's conversation, I'm going to be sharing the 6 mindset shift that completely transformed my motherhood journey. But before we get into that conversation, let me take you back a bit. So I had my daughter Cara at 28, and before that, I had no clue how to be a mom. Though I heard from people I saw in movies about motherhood, people had a lot to say about motherhood. People had advice to give. My mom told me some things that happened when she was pregnant with me and my siblings. And I heard aunties and all of those. I could pick one or two from other people about motherhood. But when I eventually became a mother, I realized that I had no clue whatsoever on how to be a mother. So obviously, I did what I heard from other people, what I saw people do, what people said motherhood was supposed to be like. Then fast forward to 13 months later, I made a very hard decision to leave my daughter Cara with my sister while I traveled abroad to further my studies. I've made a whole video on that topic, how I left my daughter, what led to that, the reconnection and everything. You can watch the video later. After my studies, I was very excited to get a promotion from work. But the same period that I got the promotion was also the same period that I was reconnecting with my child, who I haven't seen in 17 months. It's really a difficult place to be. So I had to decline the promotion and also leave that job because I just couldn't navigate it with being with my daughter and all of that. And at that point, the only job I could get was working in the kitchen. And not just working in the kitchen, but working as a pot wash in the kitchen. Yeah. At the time, it was a very good job because it allowed me the opportunity to be with my child, to spend time with her, and still go to work and make some money. It wasn't so bad at that time. But at a point, I started thinking if I did everything society said I should do as a mother, I sacrificed my job and all of that, why do I still feel empty? And that was when I started applying the 6 mindset shift that we are going to be talking about today. I've got my laptop here with me and in no particular order. The first one is coming to the realization that I was already at the rock bottom and there was no other place for me to go apart from going up. So I was in that job where I was answering to everybody and have no one answering to me. You could be doing one thing and someone will come and tell you, "Oh, Anita, leave that thing and do," and you will just gladly obey it and do it without questions. Everybody was your superior, you dare not question them. I was in that bottom level. I was on ground zero, and there was no other level down below for me to go. So the only thing I had to do was to find a way to go up. And that was what led to the second mindset shift. Because then I started thinking, what do I do? How do I get away from this? How do I change my life? How do I change my story? Because obviously, this cannot be the end of my story. That you graduated from MBA with distinction and you end up washing pots in the kitchen. I didn't want that to be the end of my story. So I started looking out for things to do that will help me, level up and get away from this ground levels. And some of the things I started doing in this while still at this very bottom level was I started listening to podcasts. I started listening to people that inspired me, people that motivated me, people that made me understand that there was more to life, that I could do more. There's more to life than just supporting your family, than just being a mother and being a good wife and just existing and just surviving. There was more to that. And that was what led to the second mindset shift, which was leveraging my experience. So back then, when I was doing my MBA studies, my lecturer used to say something. She said, learn to leverage other people's experiences. But that didn't make sense to me until I was in this particular situation where I started thinking, how do I really level up my life? How do I change my story? And that was when I started thinking about all of the things I have done, how I was a student ambassador, how I joined the podcast team, how I've done amazing things back in the past. And I started bringing all of these experiences together, all of these courses, all of these seminars, all of this workshop, all of this mentorship, all of this mentoring I've been involved with. I brought everything together, and that was how I became a life coach, by leveraging my experience, by really understanding that none of the things that I have gone through is a waste, that everything I've gone through somehow has been preparing me to this phase. And then the third mindset shift was believing that my story and my journey could transform someone else's life. It's one thing to say things, and it's another thing to say it from experience. I've been in that place where I knew what it is to feel invisible. I knew what it is to just survive, to just exist. So I wanted to help other people in that situation to know that this is not the end of your life. You can actually change your story, just like I had changed mine. And having that belief that this could help someone else actually did help other people, because I had people sending me messages and reaching out to me. Oh, Anita, how do I get to work with you? Anita, I like what you do. Anita, I like the kind of content you put out there. Just having that belief that someone else needed this, someone else needed to see my journey, to know that this is not the end of your life, that no matter where you are, you can still change your life. Because how do you actually wrap your mind around the fact that I left my daughter to pursue a degree, and then get the degree, get a promotion, leave the job, work? It didn't just make sense that you came all the way here to end up here. It didn't make sense. But telling that story and sharing it with people, I believe that it will actually inspire someone else, and it did. And that made me so, so happy. The next mindset shift is something that I believe that a lot of people are going through. Next mindset shift was realizing that motherhood was a part of me and not all of me. My journey of life, I've come to see a lot of mothers be mothers. They were nothing else apart from mothers. They were best moms, they were Christian moms, they were spiritual moms, they were very loving, kind-hearted mothers. Everything around them, everything they did was just about motherhood. They lived for motherhood. They sacrificed for motherhood. They did a lot of things for motherhood, lived and died for motherhood. But coming to that realization that I could be a mother and be a life coach and help other people, that led to this mindset shift that yes, I am a mother, but it's not all of me. Because now I am a life coach. I am a wife. I am a daughter-in-law. I'm a sister to my siblings. Coming to that realization made me understand that motherhood is a part of me, is honestly a part of me, not all of me. That I could do other things, that I could harness other parts of my life that made me happy, that made me fulfilled apart from motherhood, that I could be a mother and be other things, and that is okay. Coming to that realization changed how I did things, changed how I approached motherhood, changed how I saw myself. That's one of the things that changed the trajectory of my life. And that's why I would keep saying it every day. Motherhood is absolutely beautiful. I would want that over and over again. However, motherhood is not just all of you. You can be more than just a mom. I know a lot of people tend to misunderstand this, but it is the truth. I've come to see it, I've come to live it, I've come to understand it. And that takes us to the next mindset shift. Next mindset shift was giving myself the permission to go on my own journey. With social media and with competition, you get to be carried away with what other people are doing. Because I remember on my 30th birthday, I was still doubting myself. I was still like, are you sure I could do this? Are you sure I can change my life? Are you sure? How do I come from nothing? How do I come from all of this and become a life coach? I have nobody in my family who is a life coach. I have no friends or family that is a life coach. I have no one around me who is a life coach. Apart from my mentor, apart from these other facilitators that got to show me what coaching was, I had no one around me to give me a blueprint to tell me this is what it was, this is how it's going to be, you know. But I had to give myself permission to go on that journey, to actually be okay with going on that journey, with doubting myself at 30, with rediscovering myself after motherhood, to share my story, to understand that there is no one else like me and I didn't have to compete with anyone, to understand that I could actually go on my own journey and not compare my chapter 1 to another person's chapter 20. Being okay in that season of my life, coming to that realization really inspired this mindset of giving myself the permission to go on my own journey. Now to the sixth mindset shift, deciding to grow alongside doing. Now let me tell you what inspired this mindset. So when I started working for the first time, I realized that apart from having knowing what the job and the role was all about, there are some things you still learn in your job as you go. The longer you stay, the longer you learn, the longer you learn how to do this thing, the better you master it. Then that made me to understand that you can actually learn something alongside doing it. You can actually grow alongside learning something and doing that thing. Actually, I came to the understanding that if I can actually be better in 1 month than I was in my day one of doing this job, then that means I can be a better life coach while I am being a life coach. I can be a better podcast host while I am doing the podcast. Like, you, in doing the thing, you get to learn the thing. I think that's one of the best mindset that completely changed the trajectory of my motherhood journey. And I hope it changes yours as well. Thank you so much for joining us on today's conversation. Please do well to like, share, subscribe, comment. Tell us the things you want us to get better at. What are the things you want us to talk about in this conversation? It means a lot to me. Share it with another mama friend to make them understand that where they are right now is not the end of their journey. Their life can still be transformed. Thanks. See you next week. This is Mama Shum. Bye.